Hey everybody, welcome to the Prosperity Report on Talk365. I'm Holly Love, this is George Wright, and George, where are we today?
Well, we're here at the M Network, and
Okay.
our goal is to be able to get the CEO of the company, Kerry, who's a good longtime friend of mine, and we want to get the behind the scenes. We want to learn a little bit about his success. He's a thought leader, an entrepreneur. He has several companies. He's had a lot of success over the past, and I know you were a little skittish because when we got in here, it was access only, and it was real difficult to get in the
There's
building.
like a retinal scan.
Yeah, pretty much, right? But it's going to be exciting because there's not a lot of people that get to know what's going on, and this company is coming out of nowhere. And so Kerry's a really successful guy. We're hoping to get some really good strategies, techniques, things for any entrepreneur or any of our viewers to be able to use. And so let's go find Kerry and go from there.
Mr. Kerry, we're coming for you. Okay, so obviously we found Mr. Kerry Brown, but George, I'm going to let you introduce this guy because you've known him for a long time.
Yeah, I've known Kerry for, what is it, maybe 10 years or more? Okay, so 10 years. And I've known you through several businesses that you've owned. He's been a very successful guy, a thought leader. He's someone who has a lot of success under his belt. He's a pretty humble guy. But we want to talk a little bit about your current venture with M Network. But before we do that, I really want you to kind of sort of get us a little bit of the backstory. What got you into entrepreneurialism? What did you start with? How did you kind of get there? We'll get that backstory, and then we can kind of go from there and dig into the business. What do you think?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Cool.
So I feel really blessed to have been in an environment that opened doors, right? And so having traveled with corporate America around the world, seeing lots of different countries, both on a personal and private level as well as professional level, what I found though was that here in America, we have some of the greatest entrepreneurs in the world. I believe some of the best opportunities in the entire world. And I was blessed to have a couple of parents who were actually entrepreneurs. Both my mom and father started, individual companies separate from each other.
Wow.
And so I saw them, running through those experiences, and it really taught me a lot, kind of opened my mind to it. And then ultimately, it was my experiences at the University of Utah and taking entrepreneurial classes there, knowing that I kind of had that gut feeling to go that direction. But even though I'd started in traditional business or I'd say corporate America, it was the you that really kind of said, okay, gave me the confidence I needed to go out and take the first step.
So from the you, what was your first business adventure?
Good question. So I actually ran a bottled water company.
Oh.
And it was fascinating. I knew nothing about bottled water before I started, and with some encouragement of a professor and some friends, I got in and had a great time doing it. And it ultimately led me down a path that said, you know what, I can do this. And then from there, just kind of went on and have done both entrepreneurial, running my own businesses as well as, back and forth between corporate America at times as well.
So tell us a little bit about what kind of led you to M Network.
So I got involved in direct sales, in entrepreneurship. What I realized is that entrepreneurship so often leaves, I don't want to say the little guy, but the average person out of it, right? Out of the big picture.
Right.
And we see these rock stars and these entrepreneurs and the Zuckerbergs of the world. But the reality is, I think entrepreneurship is something that every single American should and can participate in, as long as they have the skill sets and a real drive or a passion to want to be better, right? And so with that, we started a company called the M Network, and it's really not about me. It's about our members, and this is an opportunity for average people to go out and find success. And our goal here really is just that, to help other people. And so that's why it's called M Network, the Members Network.
I want to hear about when you were at the U and those days back then when you were starting. Tell me a little bit about what you learned in those days and maybe even what you now would tell that kid to do differently, if anything.
The U is a great experience, right? And you're going to learn a lot of great stuff in traditional schools. But the reality is entrepreneurship is something you just have to do. You have to just get out and you've got to go try, right? And I've written business plans that have completely bombed. I've written, started businesses that we raised capital and did okay. I've started businesses that we started with no capital and did great, right? And it's really just a matter of figuring out what you're good at. And I think that was the most important thing for me, was knowing what I'm good at. And there's only a couple of them. There's only a couple things I think I do really well. But once you figure that out, you know what your role is and get other people who can balance you out. So good business partners is key. People that you can trust, people that you want to work with, right? If you can't trust your business partner, do it yourself. You're better off without a business partner right there. If you don't have the capital, hustle, right? And one of the most successful businesses I built, we started with zero, and just went out. We made the first sale, and then we made the second sale. And as soon as we made the second sale, paid for the materials to cover the first sale, you know, and you get out and do it, and you figure it out. And that's really the key in my mind to entrepreneurship.
What would you say is your best piece of advice that you've learned over the years besides all of that great wisdom you just gave us?
Yeah, so here's something that early on, what's the worst that's going to happen? You have that fear of taking the first step, but this is America. You know, we encourage entrepreneurship, right? We encourage people to take, what's the absolute worst that can happen, right? I mean, if you fail, so what? You fail, right? And you pick up the pieces and you move on and do the next piece. You know, in today's society, we encourage that, right? There's reasons, there's bankruptcy laws and stuff like that in the books, is so that people will go out and take those risks, right? And not encourage anybody to go bankrupt. That's not the point. But the point being, again, what's the worst that's going to happen? You know what?
Oh, I love that.
Well, and we're finding with a lot of the CEOs and business executives, thought leaders that are out there, that it's a common message, right? Fear is what keeps people from going, and what you're saying is, just imagine what is the worst that can happen, and when you can get comfortable with what that is, that's something that will help you to overcome it. Because really, the worst that could happen is nowhere close to what the worst could be for most people. So if you're willing to just take the risk, overcoming that fear is a little bit better if you do that. So I think that's a really good point. If you just analyze what's the worst that could happen, and that's a great strategy for sure. Yeah,
and you want personal? I'll tell you a very real story. My wife and I sat down when we were getting ready to start a business and said exactly that. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people say, well, I'm going to use up all my savings. Okay, well, I've done that 3 or 4 different times, right? And you use up your savings and you grow up, right back. Okay, that's what it's there for.
Comes and goes.
Money comes and goes, right? Your house, okay? I had a fear of losing a house. You know what? It's a house. It's a place you live. Yeah. It's not that big a deal, you know? And so at the end of the day, and sure, I've only had one business where we had to lose the house, but I've had plenty of others where, you know what, within a year, I had more than enough money to almost pay cash for the next house, right? And so it really is just you're not going to go to jail. As long as you don't commit fraud, right? And so
you don't do shady work.
Don't be shady, right? Always be honest, and then go out there, take that first step. That's really the key.
Key being going back to that communication with your wife and your family, because you have a supportive team behind you that's willing to have that same attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people might say that's, I have pretty high risk tolerance. I don't day trade, I don't do stocks, I don't drive fast cars, right? But maybe in business that risk tolerance is there. I can't complain. It's been great all the way along.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And that's one of our other principles, right? It's be grateful, practice gratitude, always stay motivated. But I really love what you said, because I think it is fear that keeps most people from going.
So you are not going to want to miss out on jumping online and check out M Network, check out our site, check out our YouTube channel, check out the Prosperity Report, because we will have a longer version of this interview. We are going to talk to a doctor that is here roaming around that I'm going to tackle and get a chance to talk to. And we're going to learn a little bit more behind the scenes action going long and strong. But in the meantime, we have talked George into actually being our expert on business, on personal development, on growth, on all of those things that you're looking to do if you're a business person, or like you said, just in normal everyday life. Did you know you were doing this, by the way? Because now you can't say no.
I do now.
So you can basically ask George. It's like, Dear Abby, only cooler, obviously. Look at this guy. Like James Bond edition, Dear Abby. George, thank you. Thank you for introducing me to Kerry. And Kerry,
oh, it's great stuff.
I'm so excited for the opportunity to get down here, and I appreciate your time very much.
Seriously, this is great, and I'm hoping we can kind of do some behind the scenes, and there might be some more password access, like retinal scan. I don't know what it is, but
I'm allowed in the back, right?
Go around that other corner over there. Just don't open.
Because I'm a girl or a redhead, or just me in general.
Just kidding. No, you're welcome to go anywhere.
2 out of 3.
Exactly.
No, it's a pleasure and it's an honor to spend a little time with you guys.
Don't go anywhere, because we will be right back right here on Talk 365 right after this.